If you would ask my early elementary classmates what they thought about the potential of me being an Episcopal priest, they probably would say, well, maybe, but my dad was a Lutheran pastor. But they would say I wouldn't be qualified because of one particular thing. And I don't remember this, but it's been told to me, so I guess it's true, that when I was a younger kid, I couldn't keep a secret. It was so bad that in my 3rd grade year, our teacher, who I loved, Mrs. Sunday, was out for several months due to having a hysterectomy. And she was scheduled to come back soon, and I had to use the facilities, so I asked to be excused for a moment. And while I was out, then Mrs. Todd, the teacher then, said that Mrs. Sunday was coming back such and such a day and we're going to have a party for her, but don't tell Christopher. True story. And of course, I heard about it, and from that moment on, I've learned to be the best secret keeper in the world. Anyways, through pastoral counseling and through confession and just everyday life, the stuff I know could write volumes. And so much would be salacious, but that's the secret. You know, secrets are a normal part of our lives. I mean, actually, mental health professionals saying having a little secret is not a bad thing. You know, there is something about each and every one of us that nobody else knows, even if you've been married forever, because your life goes back. But we keep secrets for the most part because we don't want to ruin some happiness that is about to come. So for instance, a young couple that's pregnant, they often hold on until the first trimester to tell folks that they're pregnant. That's a great secret to keep. Or the person who wants to be engaged, that they keep that secret until the moment arises. Or that surprise birthday party that you've been planning forever and you really hope that the person doesn't figure it out. That's a secret worth keeping. This morning, on this last Sunday after the Epiphany, as we do every year, we hear the story of Jesus taking Peter, James, and John up a high mountain. And this year we hear from the Gospel of Mark. And when he's up at that high mountain, all of a sudden, Moses and Elijah appeared and were talking with Jesus. Now, how did Peter know that it was Moses and Elijah? I have no clue. But something amazing happened. It was in their midst. Jesus was transfigured. The gospel says his clothes became as white as could be, that so white not even any bleach could make it that white. And he showed the whole glory of God. The best way I like to picture the transfiguration If you remember the old show, Touched by an Angel, and if you remember, whenever one of the angels, always at the end of the story, would reveal the angels to be an angel, how the angel became brilliantly white and radiating God's glory. That's what happened with Jesus. And it was proclaimed without a doubt by God that he was God's beloved Son, and that we are to listen to him. Then something strange happens, which doesn't make much sense. And that is, Jesus tells Peter, James, and John on the way down from the mountain, he instructs them not to tell anybody about what just happened until after he's risen from the dead. Why the secrecy? I mean, everybody in the area knows what Jesus has been doing. But in Mark's gospel, you often see Jesus saying, don't tell anybody what happened. Biblical scholars call that the Messianic secret. And it could be for a variety of reasons. One, if Jesus would have revealed himself as the Messiah, people would have thought that he was going to be the conquering Messiah, which, of course, that's not the Messiah he was. He was the one to come and save us. Another good reason is that there's no telling what would happen if people would recognize him as the Messiah. They might think he's blasphemous and try to kill him, as we've seen happen. So the secrecy kept him alive during a time when he was doing his Father's work. But no matter what the reason, the disciples were instructed to keep silent. And Peter, James, and John did just that. Until after his death, burial, resurrection, and ascension. They did exactly what Jesus asked. It's almost 2,000 years after Christ's death and resurrection. And so my question to all of us gathered who say we love the Lord with all our heart and all our soul and all our might, my question is simple. Why are you and I keeping the secret about the good news of God through Christ? Think about it. How much in your life do you spend talking to others about your love of God? Or being part of a faith community? Or doing great works through a mission center? For the most part, I'm pretty certain that it doesn't really happen too often. It's not a criticism. Fear not. It's part of the reality of being an Episcopal Anglican. For years, the Episcopal Church was known as the Frozen Chosen. Frozen Chosen. Liking things as it is, but not wanting to have to do any work to spread the good news to others. So this Lent, let's not be secret keepers. Let's tell the secret. And it's not difficult. It could be tomorrow, whether you're at work or at home, talking to a friend at school, and you are talking about your day and your weekend, and you could just lightly say, oh, yeah, went to church yesterday morning. It was really great. We had 2 babies baptized, and it was just wonderful. Or, oh, you know, Ash Wednesday is coming up. Did you know our church is having these services? Love for you to join us. Or an event is coming, and you're really excited about it. And so you share it with your friends and your family members and everyone on social media, so they can experience that joy that you experience. You don't need to be a street evangelist on the corner in Times Square to spread the good news. But spreading it, telling people the story of Christ. Our presiding Bishop Michael Curry likes to remind all of us that we are Christians of the Jesus movement within the Episcopal Church. So we're Christians joining others like our friends at St. Francis up the street, or Christ Lutheran down the road, or the Congregational Church, or the local Presbyterian Church. That of all of us, imagine today if we would start living the secret. Let people see in you Christ. Let them know that there is a place at God's table for them. Let them experience the joy that you have. And finally, if you can't speak, or afraid of speaking, or you're like me and losing my voice, remember, preach the gospel always, and if necessary, use words. Amen.
Amen.